being an entrepreneur is a 24/7 job. And when you're hiring, you need a partner that works as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. For one thing, there you could post a job. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people. You get qualified candidates. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your business is the quality of the candidates. And with LinkedIn, of course, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small and medium businesses say using LinkedIn helps them find high quality candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Altucher. That's linkedin.com/Altucher to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
This message comes from Capital One. With the Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One, you earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase and get big purchasing power so your business can spend more and earn more. Stephen, Brandon, and Bruno, the business owners of SandCloud, reinvested their 2% cash back to help build the company's retail presence. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Find out more at CapitalOne.com/SparkCashPlus. Terms apply.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
Miesha Tate is one of my favorite people in the world. Not only is she this incredible athlete, I mean, she was the ultimate fighting champion of the entire planet. Now she has taken her experiences of excellence, hard work, and discipline, plus all the struggles that she's been through, which we've previously talked about on my podcast. But I was really honored when she asked me to go on her podcast, and we talked about so many issues. It was really just a great conversation about how to survive in the turbulence of life, plus more of her experiences, more of my experiences. And look, I love it when I can relate and be friends with and have great conversations with someone who on the surface seems completely different from me, and had such a fun time with Miesha, and I wanted to share that time with you.
Make sure your hair is all in the right place.
Yes, exactly. No, that's impossible is the problem.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like your hair has a wrong place, though. It's just every place.
I don't know. Since I was a kid, I've hated it because, you know, when I was a kid, everybody wanted to have just straight blonde hair. And I was the opposite of that, like just curly, wild black hair. And I just hated it. And everybody thought I was ugly, and I just hated it.
You hated your hair?
Yeah.
And you love it now?
No, I've hated it ever since.
Oh, no.
Whatever you, I feel like
it seems like you're really embracing it, though. I mean,
I try, but let me ask you, like, it seems like whoever you are at the age of 12 or 13, that's who you are. It's like hard. You could tweak that.
My mom has always hated her hair. She has curly, dark hair too, and she's just always hated it. And the same thing, she still hates it. I'm like, Mom, my mom has great hair. She doesn't know it.
Yeah, if
It's
you're
so
young
sad to
now,
me.
I see kids who have like, you know, curly, wavy, dark
Yeah.
hair now. They're like the kings of their block or whatever. They're the kings of the school. But when I was a kid, and maybe when you were a kid, things were a little different. It was sort of the straight blonde hair culture.
What do you do to style your hair? Anything?
Nothing. I just get out of bed and
You just
and
it just all. I mean, a lot of people would pay a lot of money to have your hair. I'm just
really.
saying. Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, I'll trade. If it's the right candidate, I'll trade.
I feel like if you really hated your hair, you'd just shave it all, though. Come on, you have
No,
to.
but
There
I think
has to be something you love
I think
about
that
it
would be
now.
worse with shaved head. So
So you're just picking the lesser of two.
to do the shaved head, you have to have that Mr. Clean look. I'd have to I'd have to take steroids and work out all the
You
time.
don't work out every day?
No. I mean, I know you probably thought that way because you're an athlete. I seem like an athlete, but
Oh, so good. Well, I'm excited to have you here today. You know, I feel like this will be a continuation in a sense, but it's my chance to put you in the hot seat, so to speak, because I was a guest on your show. And it was fantastic. It just felt like the conversation was fireworks. And you asked me, I still remember you asked me a question that I've never been asked before, and it was really thought provoking. Even the moment, I wasn't prepared for it, and I luckily off the cuff had a good answer. But I was talking about my mentality on being able to like do hard shit, basically. Just knowing you can get through hard times, knowing that you can do hard things, and how I kind of feel like I developed that not only through life, but particularly in a moment when I could draw back was to my wrestling. It's just like it taught me that I can do things I didn't think I was capable of. Like I can do really, really tough things. And you asked me, well, what if people don't know if they can do tough things? And I was like, that's the kind of thought provoking. Like, I love your mind. I can't wait to dive into it because you have a really really beautiful mind.
Oh,
if that doesn't sound cheesy.
No, I really appreciate that. And look, we're going to be a mutual admiration society. What was really great talking to you, and also what's I think really great about you doing a podcast and your podcast and everything is you've been there, done that. So a lot of people have these kind of self-help podcasts or they think they know something, but you've actually been beaten up and gone for and won a world championship. So no one can question where you're coming from, where your heart's at and where your strength's at. And you've just been building from there, of course. And so that's really valuable. There's not that many people who I can listen to and say, okay, I'm listening to this because she's done something very difficult. Whether it's, of course, the physical aspect is extremely difficult. I would never be able to do that. But having the mindset to come back again and again, and whether it's relationship trouble or whether it's athletic trouble, competition trouble, to actually come back and win or even compete, that's a lot of strength. And I think that's something we all wrestle with. I wrestle with it every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you said that to me, I was like, gosh, I've been talking about this kind of thing for a long time, and sort of preaching what my story is and in my mentality and hopes that it will help other people. But when you asked me that, when you said, what if people don't know if they can do hard things? It's like, that was very profound for me because I think everyone else just listens and assumes that we all just get it. Like, oh yeah, just what she's saying or what he's saying. Like, that sounds so easy. And I'll tell you, I've been listening to your book and I love it.
Oh, thank you so much.
I was actually going to be done with it before our podcast today. But in a part there, you said, write ideas every day. Well, you had a bunch of things that you can do every day, like something, like pick one thing. And I always tell people that too. Like start with one thing. When you feel overwhelmed, just pick one thing and just go with that. So I love that. But the thing that really stood out for me was, writing these 10 ideas down. And you said it could be ideas about literally anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but I started writing them down. I got like 8 out of 10. And I mean, I really was working my mind muscle.
Right. And it's right at the 7 or 8 point that it literally, the brain it feels like it's sweating.
Yes.
Like it happens to me almost every time, because I do this every day. It happens to me almost every time. By the time I get to 7, first off, I think I'm at 10. So I count it up. It's easy to count. And, I've only done 7. And then 8, 9, 10, that's the hard part.
Yes.
That's like if you're doing push-ups and you get to that point where you can't do any more, and that's when you have to start doing
the
more.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the work actually begins.
Yeah.
That's where the mental battle begins. Far, exceeds the physical. Is, you physically, you have a point where you think is a stopping point, and it's at that point only the mind that overrides it. It's the mental muscle that overrides whether you can actually physically do more. You always have more physically to give than you think. Maybe unless you're David Goggins, maybe he might be the only one that has really tapped into like actual physical breakdown. But so I'm doing this list, and it goes back to what I was saying, drawing the assumption that people just automatically know what you mean. So I would like to share this with you if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I kind of put like an ideas list of how to get better.
By the way, great size notebook.
Is it?
If it's too big, then you feel like writing too much.
Yes.
This is really just for ideas.
Just like a little pocket notebook.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me preface this. I think that I wrote a goals list as opposed to an ideas list.
Which is okay too.
Okay.
The ideas can be about anything. These are ideas for goals.
Okay. I was wondering, is there a distinction? Because like, do you distinguish those at all? That was kind of my question for you.
No, like I might think, what are 10 ideas I grew up believing that I no longer believe? So is that really ideas, or is it's just like a hard list to come up with?
Yeah.
Or another day I might have, okay, here's 10 ideas for books. Here's 10 ideas for businesses. Then those are like more considered pure ideas. But it's really just 10 things that it's going to be hard to come up with 10.
Just getting things on paper.
Yeah.
Okay. So the ideas to get better. So something that I want to do, we purchased a home recently up in Boise, and it'll be a little while before we actually move up there. But, on this land, eventually someday when it becomes ours, it is, but we're renting it out. Canning and food preservation. Okay. Like I want to learn how to do that better. I've done a little bit, but canning and food preservation and composting. I want to understand composting, nitrogen, all those things, like how you make a good composting pile. Interior design. I want the place to look nice. And I've always struggled with this because I think I'm a bit in a room. I'm a bit of a maximalist. Like I don't always know where to stop. And sometimes it can just get like too much. And I'm like, I want to learn how things go together nicely so it doesn't just look like a bunch of chaos. Okay. And then doing less. That was a big one for me. I don't know if I know how to do that. And I've been really pondering this.
That's a hard one too.
Yeah. Because I struggle sometimes. I know how to be present in small periods of time. I've been working on mindfulness, but I don't know if I actually know how to be comfortable doing less. That idea almost makes me nervous.
Right. Like, do you feel like you're not doing it enough when you're doing less?
Yes. I feel like I'm not being productive.
And particularly like someone like you're probably got a little bit of an addiction to doing a lot. I mean, when you were training for stuff or when you're preparing for these podcasts, it fills up your day. So what happens when suddenly your day is not filled up, or does it even have to be filled up as much as it is?
That's why I wish I knew the answer, because I don't know how to do that. I've never crossed that bridge.
That's a hard one.
I've never crossed that bridge. But you talk about it a little bit in your book. You talk about those moments of, just enjoying the sunset or, so for you, does it work more like that? It's just little pockets, or do you ever take like a whole day and just try to like lay in the sun or just like be on vacation, or like, how does it work?
I would say no. But what I try to do is remind myself to go outside, to turn off the phone, to even turn off music, to not watch TV, to really just be there with myself. And you could call that mindfulness, or you could just, a lot of times it's just really just a matter of turning everything off. And what are you left with? Like, don't think about the work stuff. Like, what are you left with? And try to enjoy that and just treasure these private moments. Like, we only, it's a cliche to say we only have so much time. And so are you really going to spend the few remaining full moons you have left, no matter what age you are, obsessing over work, or obsessing over the next podcast guest, or obsessing over, is your training good? Or, am I thinking about this relationship again and it's just occupying all my mental real estate? Like, I tell myself that these are important things, but I have to remind myself all the time. Like, literally write it down, like you were doing. Like, that's why it's good writing these things down. Like, I would never think to myself, oh, maybe I need to learn, I'm buying a house, maybe I need to learn a little bit more about gardening. So this allows you, writing these ideas down allows you to spend some of those moments just thinking, what's going on in your head? What's as opposed to thinking about everything else in the outside world. Right.
Processing. Absolutely. And so I'll say the reason that I didn't finish the book, honestly, is I took a good amount of time to think about this. I paused the book. I remember you had mentioned it a couple times. Like, just pause it right now and just do this.
Yeah. I mean, when I do it every morning, it probably takes like at least a half hour or more.
That's what I was going to say. It was at least 30. I had like an hour, like 45 minutes left of the book.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I could either finish listening or I could sit down and try out one of these strategies that you have in place to kind of help.
That's so much better than finishing the book, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I will finish the book, absolutely. But this was really good. And I love the exercise. So this is something you do every day?
Every single day.
You write down 10 ideas.
Yeah, 10 ideas. So, I mean, I've been really thinking about my next book. So, and I go back and forth on different ideas. And so today was yet again me doing a list of topics I would cover in my next book. So, and I've been thinking about the idea of obsession. Like you even mentioned when you were on the show, this was once you started doing, fighting, you became obsessed. Like you had to do it.
Mhm.
And I really think, or I wonder, can you only really get great at something if you're obsessed with it? And I'm leaning towards the answer is yes. Like if you're up against someone, all other things being equal, if you're up against someone who's obsessed with what you're interested in versus somebody who's not obsessed, the person who's obsessed is gonna win, whether it's a fight or business or whatever it is, poker,
Yes.
whatever it is. And I feel like everything that I've done in my life, I've only been able to do it if I've been obsessed. And I feel like many people, for better or for worse, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but many people settle. They don't do what they're obsessed with because there's a little danger in doing what you're obsessed with. There's an addictive quality to being always obsessed, and B, you get very disappointed and heartbroken. If you're fighting and you lose, it's heartbreaking for you, right?
Yeah.
You care.
You
And
make millions of dollars and lose it all, right?
yeah,
Yes.
right. So
Yeah.
or anything, whether it's a competition or even if like I'm writing a book, I want it to be the best written book. Like I'm obsessed with, for instance, writing, the skill of writing. And so that's important to me. And I feel if I wasn't obsessed with it, I would never write a book because it's hard to write a book.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there for hundreds of hours staring at a screen, typing. This is
Yeah.
normally a boring activity unless you're obsessed.
Right. It's so interesting. By the way, the book is called Choose Yourself. I don't think that I said that, the one that I'm reading, because I know you've written more than one book. But
Yeah. And that one actually probably is my favorite of what I've written.
yeah, it's really, really good. It's better than your standard self-help book.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I tried to avoid that categorization, but it needed some category. But for me, it was more like a self-hurt book. Like I described like all the ways in which I had essentially hurt myself and how I kind of bounced back from that.
Yeah.
So, because it's hard to bounce back. I mean, I had no money. Then I built and sold a company, worked really hard, and then I lost everything. I lost all my money.
What was the company?
The company was called Reset, and what I did was, and this is going to date me a little bit, but in the 90s, I was making the very first websites for many companies. So AmericanExpress.com, HBO.com. I did all the record labels. I did Warner Brothers, did tons of entertainment websites. And then I sold the company, made a lot of money, and then I was just stupid and I lost all of it. And I was so depressed. I couldn't get out of bed. But it was this process of, and this was like, I was losing my house, I was losing my family, I was losing everything. And it was this process of suddenly just trying to write 10 ideas a day and literally doing that for about 2 weeks, every day, exercising that idea muscle, which had atrophied. Doing that every day, I started to feel happy again. Like I could look forward to waking up in the morning. I didn't want to kill myself, but I wouldn't have minded if when I went to sleep, I didn't wake up. Like I was just very happy about facing the day. And, but then I suddenly started looking forward to coming up with these ideas. It was waking up the neurons in my brain. And then I wasn't necessarily having good ideas, but then I started sharing them with other people. Like, oh, here's 10 ideas for you. Here's 10 ideas for you. And people started reacting to me. Like, I would cold email people like, oh, I like your articles. Here's 10 ideas of articles you could write. No need to respond. It's very critical to say no need to respond. That this is not transactional, that you don't want anything. But then people did start to respond. And it literally, like doing this process, literally created entire careers for me that didn't exist beforehand and really became the source of like the next companies and sources of income and then wealth for myself. So it was very valuable, but beginning with that waking up out of depression.
How do you even come up with your ideas of the things that are going to help you? What inspires you to even know that writing 10 ideas is going to make an impact in your life?
I didn't really know. Like I remember I was just wandering around because I had nothing to do. I was broke and there was nothing going on. And I was just waiting to lose my house and to basically disappear. I assumed if I had $0, I would just disappear from the planet. And I saw this box of waiter's pads for sale. And I love the look of waiter's pads. Like, oh, it's nice light blue. They're just very small. I could put it in the pocket. They're cheap. So I bought this box of waiter's pads. And the next day I took one and I'm like, okay, I'm going to write down. It was actually another book I was working on. I'm going to write down 10 ideas for 10 chapters in this one book I wanted to write. And I did it. And then the next day, it was more like I was outlining this book that I never wrote. And then I started writing ideas for businesses. And just like I said, I started coming up with different concepts. And I didn't think anything of it. But then I realized again, after about 10 days, 2 weeks, oh, I'm excited. I'm happy. And I hadn't been in like years. So this was like a pivotal moment where the only thing I could think that I had changed kind of from an experimental basis was doing this practice, and it was really working. So, and again, I don't think I came up with any good ideas during that period. I didn't write the book I was outlining then. I didn't make any of the businesses I said I would make on those lists. But the key is not to come up with good ideas, but just to get that brain moving. And that will make you in general like an idea machine all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Take a quick break. If you like this episode, I'd really, really appreciate it. It would mean so much to me. Please share it with your friends and subscribe to the podcast. Email me at altucher@gmail.com and tell me why you subscribed. Thanks. So things have gotten really busy for me lately, and I've asked for it. Like, I'm doing all things I love doing and wanting to do, but I'm very busy and I have to be focused on every single thing. And some of these things that I do during the day, like basically I'm helping run 3 different businesses, plus I'm doing 3 podcasts a week, and I have to read and prepare for each podcast. I'm writing a book. Those are just like my professional career things. And then I'm doing all sorts of other things. And I often have to switch from meeting to meeting to meeting, and my brain has to stay focused. And I don't want to take any stimulants that's going to get me like overhyped or overstimulated and not. I really want to function optimally. I don't think this is going to last forever. Well, I hope it doesn't last more than a month like this. But basically, I had to figure out what to do. And I really can't highly recommend enough Huel, Huel, and their Black Edition powder. It's like a complete meal. So you feel full, focused, and I feel more ready for the day. Like, it actually works. So at less than $3 per meal, it's packed with 40 grams of plant-based protein and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no added sugar, gluten-free, tastes great with flavors like salted caramel and chocolate. Plus, it keeps me full for hours. That's key. I don't want to be like hungry during all these meetings. And it's perfect for breakfast, lunch, or post-workout. And just when you thought Huel had everything covered, they just dropped a first-of-its-kind super greens drink in a can. And it's called the Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink. So you forget powders, forget those pills. This is your daily greens. No mixing, no mess, quick and convenient without compromising nutrients. Don't go for those compromising nutrients. It's sparkling and comes in flavors like blueberry, apple, peach, 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, made by dietitians. So try Huel with 15% off for new customers today using my code Altucher at Huel.com/Altucher. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. Being an entrepreneur is a 24/7 job. And when you're hiring, you need a partner that works as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. For one thing, you could post a job. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people. You get qualified candidates. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your business is the quality of the candidates. And with LinkedIn, of course, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small and medium businesses say using LinkedIn helps them find high quality candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Altucher. That's linkedin.com/Altucher to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
What can 160 years of experience teach you about the future? A lot, especially when it comes to protecting what matters. At Pacific Life, we've helped people and businesses confidently embrace the future with life insurance, retirement income, and employee benefits. With strategies built on strength and trust, and a promise to be here for you today and tomorrow. Ask a financial professional how Pacific Life can help you today. Pacific Life Insurance Company, Omaha, Nebraska, and in New York. Pacific Life and Annuity, Phoenix, Arizona.
So I want to share something with you, and maybe it pertains to this, and maybe it doesn't. But I took my daughter and my son out of traditional school, although she only went 1 year. She went to an academy of public school, and I just didn't love it. I was like, I just want better. I don't like the conformity. I don't like the way that, I don't like it. I don't like the sit down, shut up, don't move your body, do as I say. I just don't like it. I don't like the way that it was so stressful. She was in kindergarten, and we would have like hours of homework. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? If you can't take my child for 6 or 7 hours a day at 5 and accomplish what you, or 5 or 6, and accomplish what you need during that time, and you have to take my family time away from us and stress us out and make her cry because she's got to finish this stuff and know these sight words and memorize all this stuff that she's not going to, the memorization was so stupid to me. I'm like, this is not learning. This is like forced programming that just isn't going to stick anyway. So we're wasting our time. So I pulled her out. I put her in the school Apogee, and there's no formal testing. It's learner driven. And I got nervous a little bit, like this last I would say few months, where I'm like, she just turned 7, and she doesn't write and read at what you would think a 7-year-old should. My daughter's brilliant. She's so creative. I could just go on and on. Like, she'll take boxes at her house and she'll make these doll houses out of them, places. She'll take a hot glue gun. She put a refrigerator in there with another box. She took an old handle and she glued it to it so you could like open it up. And I mean, she's just got this amazing creative mind that I think blows most kids out of the water. But we encourage that. We want her to do that. That's why I put her in the school. But anyways, I got a little stressed because it's like, Amaya, sing your ABCs, and she couldn't recall them, her ABCs, and I'm like, oh my God, like did I make a mistake? She didn't know her ABCs. She's 7, and she writes her letters backwards sometimes, and I'm like, oh, is this like what's going on here? And she's not like reading the books that like kids at 7, when you look it up online, it says they should be able to read these books. Okay, I'll get to the point. I met with the founder, or not founder, but owner of the Apogee here. And she said, look, our philosophy at Apogee is that in their own time. She said they will get there. There's no kid that I know of with 2 parents in a household that are loving, that are providing all the things that you are, that read to them every night, that are going to be illiterate.
Yeah, like, do you know anybody at all who doesn't know how to read?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
so she's
no.
going to learn how to read.
Yes. And it's just like, I had again fallen into that mindset of like that standardization of like, she should know this. But I'm like, well, okay, if it comes to her at 8 and then she's on fire with it and she realizes she can get this information from the books and this, as opposed to like forcing her to do the things that are, what we think is how we measure a 7-year-old and what should be expected of them. And I was like, that's the whole reason that I put her in an unschooling place, is so that she wouldn't have to do that. But then even I got just sucked into the idea that, she has to meet these standards.
I mean, first off, I'm jealous of what you're doing with her now, because I wish my parents had done that with me. Like, school, think about it. School is awful, right? Like, remember when you were in school?
Yes.
Like having to be someplace every 42 minutes, and then you get 3 minutes to switch to the next room. And like you say, then you're just sitting. I don't remember anything. I can't remember anything I've learned. Like, I've asked this question to a lot of people, and even though what I'm about to ask you, I've asked literally hundreds of times to people, I can't even remember the answer. When was Charlemagne the emperor born? I right now can't remember, even though I've asked this a million times to people. So something we've read entire books about, maybe, or chapters about in social studies. I can't remember anything. I don't know any calculus. I don't know how to cut up a frog. I can't do anything. I can't do anything that we learned in school. Like, what was it all for? And
know,
they
one of
say,
my-
well, so make friends. They're gonna make friends. Your daughter's
Yeah.
making friends, right?
Yeah.
So there's no reason for the way that the current educational system is. It's entirely awful.
No, the fact that we haven't updated it is silly to me, and it just makes me think it's more of a business. You know, we know now that children learn best through play. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a child to learn something, make a game out of it. They'll do it. They'll learn it.
Yeah, because then you start to trigger into that flow state when people play in a game. You trigger that obsessive feeling that people become even temporarily. I want to win, and that's a little bit of a mini obsession. And then think about college, because it just extends into college. It's just 18 to 22-year-olds. People feel they're not quite ready to go out, and they just need some way to just extract money from them. Like, think about it. Do you know college tuitions have gone up faster than inflation? Not on average, but every single year since 1965, college tuitions have gone up faster than inflation, because that's when the government started backing student loans. So college presidents, they always get paid, but the student's the one who has to have the debt. And you can't get rid of the debt in bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And government, so it's just this entire marketing scam. Like, oh, everybody needs to go to college, so we're going to pay for everyone's college. The government gets the interest payments, so they make money. Everyone loses. I mean, everyone wins except the student, who loses. And then
Who at 17 or 18 years old is supposed to know what they're putting all this money towards, of what they want to do in their future, with zero life experience outside of their parents' home.
Even biologically, the part of the brain that handles risk the best isn't fully developed till you're about 25. So you're asking a kid to take on maybe $200,000 in debt or more. Oh, no problem. I'm going to just pay it back doing whatever. They're never going to pay it back for their entire lives, it turns out. Like, they're all this entire generation of kids going to college is really in trouble.
Yeah.
And so don't send your kid to college either.
No, I'm not. I can't wait to get into that with you actually a little bit. I love your stance on college and kind of the anti-college thought process that you have, or at least I think you're more opportunistic. I don't think you're necessarily anti-college. I'm sure there's a place for it in some situations, but you are opportunistic and like, well, bang for buck, right?
Yeah, and think about all the things somebody could do instead of college. When you think of it that way, there are so many exciting things you could do. You could go, you could go work on a farm. You could go, go do computer programming at some AI company if that's what you're interested in. You could write a book about whatever it is you're fascinated about, whatever it is you're interested in. You could travel, not just travel for the sake of it. I just spoke with someone who's sending his kid to a cooking school in Italy for 3 months instead of going to their first semester of college. One of my daughters, we had her take off a year, don't do the first year of college, take race car driving lessons. And what a great experience for her. And, these things you would never do if you were stuck in that track, like, oh, well, I got to go to college and then business school and then work at a bank and blah, blah, blah. Like, have a boring life.
On that opportunity for that life experience that might actually provide some, a better guide, even if you did want to go to school, but it be a better guide of what you actually want to do. Because I don't know how many people I know, but it's a lot that have graduated from college that don't use their degree.
Of course not. Like, I'll just tell you real quickly my story. I majored undergrad in computer science, loved it, went to graduate school for computer science, was thrown out, but still learned a lot. And then at my first real job in the adult world, I was so bad at computer programming, they had to send me to remedial classes to be a computer programmer. And so I couldn't even use anything I learned in college. And then now, of course, I haven't done any programming in decades. So it's I don't want to say it was completely useless. I hope I spent my time a little bit effectively, but in terms of what I was supposed to learn, it just didn't happen.
There's this viral video going around about this young woman bawling her eyes out about her school debt. She went to college and she's been paying on this debt for, the last 5 years. And because the interest rate is at like 17%, she owes more now. She's been making like $1,500 payments every month. She owes more now than she did when she graduated. Yeah,
and you can't, if you declare bankruptcy, that's the one debt it does not get rid of. You cannot get rid of that debt. So it really is a scam. And by the way, why, college instead of trade school. Trade school, you learn skills that make you money. And by the way, read a book if you want to learn other things. Or there's so many amazing courses and online places to learn things, but instead there's this whole marketing thing because the government makes money on that 17% interest. So the government borrows money at 3% and then they lend it out at 17% to your kids. And it's just a scam. It's like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, I would say I don't know if at 17 I could have made a good decision about, taking a loan at 17%. I mean, you just don't have the perspective, and it's really kind of heartbreaking. And I'm not at all interested in my kids going to college. I'll just say this: I'm already starting them on that whole different trajectory. This school is based on Socrates and the Socratic method, and they debate every day, and they learn how to have arguments respectfully and disagree respectfully, and then also take in new information and change their mind if they want to. Because I feel like that is a pillar of intelligence, is to be like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. And now that I know something that I didn't know before, I can change my mind.
Yeah. And so often they're used to just being like, okay, here's all the facts. Here's a test on the facts. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of what's your opinion, but don't have the wrong opinion. And then we're on to the next topic. So you're right. People don't really learn how to, critical thinking is. I mean, let's say you want to start a business eventually, or you think you or your child or whatever might want to start a business. In order to start a business, you have to do something that everybody right now thinks is wrong, because otherwise somebody else would have started this business. So you have to be able to stand for your convictions and do something that the entire world says you're an idiot for doing. Because that all the best entrepreneurs, they have done that at some point. And even if you're setting up a laundromat on the corner of these two busy streets, no one put a laundromat there before. Everyone thought it was a stupid idea. You have to do it. Right. So to make it happen.
I'm very much a jump and expect the net to appear kind of person. And sometimes it doesn't appear and I fall. And then I have to say, well, that was a learning experience. And now I'm going to jump again. And I'm going to expect the net to appear this time. And I just keep doing it. And so people think that I'm insane. It's like, why would you take that risk without this amount of forethought? And it's not that I don't have any forethought. But this is a question I had for you, and I wonder if this is similar or if it's different, and how you would recommend that somebody prepare, because not every jump is a great idea. But for example, I am that kind of passion pursuit kind of person. And if it feels right, 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to do it. And then whatever is wrong with it, I will just figure out how to fix. And on the other side, my fiance, who is a great balance to me, is very much about dot the I's, cross the T's. Let's make sure we've really thought this through, and let's not do any hasty jumps unless we have a really good, understanding, and everything kind of checks out and it all makes logical sense. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain to him always that sometimes things just for me don't make logical sense, but they make sense in my heart and in my mind. And I don't know if that's a good enough reason for some people. And so I wonder too, for you as somebody who has you have these, many different ventures that you've done, what was it for you what is it for you that lets you decide if an idea is a good one or it's not a worthwhile pursuit?
I think there's no way to know. I think you have to just do it. And by the way, it might still be a bad idea, but if you love doing it, you keep doing it until
so that's what it is.
Yeah, you have to. Okay, I'll give you kind of an example. It has nothing to do with business, but one time, a friend of mine and I, we both love stand-up comedy, but we were too afraid to do stand-up comedy. It's a scary thing. And so we challenged each other to do it. We rented out a hall even, invited everyone we knew. We were doing it we were saying this on a podcast, so everybody listening to our podcast came. And we did 7 minutes of stand-up comedy each. And it was the scariest thing. I really thought, I was outside the building. I really thought I was just going to let my friend do it and I was going to hide away someplace. It was so scary. But then once I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this every single day for the rest of my life. I love doing this. And so I loved it and I was horrible. It was a really bad idea for me. But I did it and I did it. I did it every single day. I found comedy clubs that would put me up because I had a little bit of an audience. And then I made the stupid mistake of buying a comedy club just so I could force myself on the stage to do it every day. And I don't care. People actually hated me for doing that, other comedians, but whatever. And I was really, really bad.
Why did they hate you for doing that?
Because, oh, look, he used his money to get on stage. Okay, they didn't know that just a year earlier I'd been broke and, I earned every dollar and this is what I wanted to do. But, but I was really bad and I didn't really actually know that I was so bad as I was. I knew I wasn't getting better. I would say finally, after years, I got good enough that other clubs from around the country would ask me. I toured a little bit. I went to other countries where they asked me to go. So I got okay. I never got like great. I just got good enough to pass. And, but I love doing it. Was it a good idea for my life? I don't know. Was it a good idea? Did it make me money? No, it completely sidetracked me from making money for like 5 or 6 years. And I didn't build anything else in my career. But like, what's a career really? At the end of your life, you're not a career. You're kind of a collection of all your experiences and all the people you've been in touch with and had contact with and all the things you've learned. And by loving different things, I got immersed in different subcultures and met people from all walks of life that, wouldn't know me if I had just stuck to one subculture. So, like for you, obviously the, ultimate fighting culture and you were completely immersed in that. Now it's podcasting and other things. And that's how you really, build life experience, not by being an accountant somewhere. Oh, by the way, I love my accountant. Some people love that. So, but I did something that was probably a bad idea by most metrics, but I love doing it. And do I regret it? Not at all. Like it's changed so many parts of my life, having those extra skills that I can now bring into other things. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, if you love something and you are disciplined about pursuing it, then, and you do all sorts of experiments around what you love, so you get to really try it out, you're going to be a better person for it. And the people around you will be better for it. Imagine your kids, and if they saw you doing something that every day, there's office politics, you get home, you complain about your boss or your coworkers, and they see that every day. That's really what they're learning from. Or they see you challenging the hardest things you could possibly be doing and really pursuing the things you love, and they see your happiness when it works out, and they see you learning when it doesn't work out. Which is more valuable for them? Obviously, it's you doing what you love is what's more valuable for them.
This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring,
You will die in 7 days.
Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
Something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
How do you get secure with the financial part of it? Like you have kids and you have people like depending on you, right? For to provide a roof over their house, right? Or over their head. Some people might say, well, that's easy to say. It's easy for you to say. It's easy for me to say.
Yeah.
I've got to earn a paycheck.
Yeah. And I've had to deal with that all along too, particularly during the periods where I decided to focus on things that didn't make as much money. But also, I would diversify my interests enough that at least there would be one interest where I could build that as either an income stream or a business that I could sell or something. So even during this period where I was doing comedy, I would spend a little time. Probably would have been much bigger if I spent more time. But I have a background in finance. I used to run a hedge fund, so I would write financial newsletters. It was a subscription service. Investing is something that I was at different points obsessed with. So I had that skill, I had that knowledge, and I did have an income stream from that. And it was doing well. I was building wealth from that. And it didn't have it would have been much bigger if that's all I did. If I had been obsessed with that at that point, I would have built it much bigger, but it was good enough.
Okay. You
have to, yeah, you're right. You have to think about that somewhat, but I'm not going to say like, oh, okay, I got wealthy and then there was one point I had wealth. I was doing things I was interested in. And then I don't know, the IRS called. 1 year, 5 years earlier, I had forgotten to pay and they took all my money. And so I had to start from scratch while I was pursuing things I was interested in. So
what was that like, by the way, like emotionally, mentally?
By that point, I had made money and gone broke enough. I sort of felt like, there's 3 skills to money. There's making it, keeping it, growing it. And I realized at one point I was good at making it, not so good at keeping it and growing it. So I did have to focus on that a little bit. And I was scared, but I also knew I could survive. So I knew I'd be able to figure it out. With the 10 ideas a day, I knew something would happen. Because when you write all those ideas a day down, things start to connect up and it's impossible not to be lucky. So luck plays an important role, but you create your own luck. But if you're writing 10 ideas a day down, it's like, oh, here's 10 ideas for Google. Here's 10 ideas for, Twitter or Facebook. Like if I start coming up with ideas for other companies, eventually I send them to people. Eventually people call back and things sort of happen and businesses start.
Yeah. One of the other ideas that I have on here was starting a homeschool, slash business, but I look at the homeschool as a business. But with Apogee, where my kids go, I want to open one up when we move to Boise, and I want to have my own kids there, and I want to have more kids there, and I think we have up to like 20. I don't want to run it as the guide is what they would call it, the teacher. I want to be more in when I want to be in, out when I want to be out kind of person, so I can have a little bit of freedom, but also be like, hey, kids, come look, the chickens are hatching, or hey, we're going to do jujitsu today. I'm going to run, an hour where I'm going to do the hour workout.
Oh my God, I wish I had been at this school instead of what I was at.
I want to be like, hey, kids, we're going to learn how to bake sourdough today. Like, I'm going to show you guys, those kinds of things. Like, I want to be able to come in and just create, a project and like have that planned, or we're going to build furniture. We're going to learn how to refinish furniture. So we're going to do. I'm going to go around and I'm going to make this is how I see myself, go around to a bunch of garage sales or like go on Facebook Marketplace and find all the ones that are free, people just don't want anymore. Or you drive by the side and collect 20 pieces of furniture and then have these kids just make it into something amazing and see how their brains just, create. And then they can take it home and put it in their homes as this beautiful piece of, art.
You should make like a whole curriculum. You can make 10 different curriculum for this type of, and then people could choose the track or just pick and choose which things they want to do. Like think about that, going to garage sales, buying furniture. Then they have to learn to negotiate. They have to learn to value things.
Right.
Like it's so many different skills in there that they never teach in school.
Yes.
So you should come up with all these different curriculum for that. That's one, there's always different ways to slice an idea too. Maybe you don't want to start the school, but maybe you want to set up all the ideas and let other people do the school and using the curricula, or maybe you make a book about it, or maybe you make a series of podcasts where each episode is a different part of the curriculum here, like a homeschooling podcast, or maybe we follow your kids around while they do these different things. And that's a YouTube series.
Yeah. Oh, see, I like where this goes. This is where I could just get so many ideas going at once that I'm almost like, sometimes then I struggle with finding a direction of which one to go. Do you ever do that? Do you ever struggle in like, where am I going to, like I have 10 beautiful ideas out of this thousands I've been thinking of. There's 10 I want to do. And sometimes I find myself getting a bit too dispersed in different areas.
Yeah.
Where I'm not maximizing any one. It's like 10% on 10 different ideas, which isn't really effective or efficient either.
Maybe not. I don't know. Like do all 10 and then see which ones fall through.
That you want to exactly put more.
You're not going to know until you do it. Like you can't know. It's just like, again, it's like mental health. It's like depression. You can't think your way out of being sad. You have to do things that occupy this mental real estate in our head. Otherwise, the sadness takes over. So you have to do things to know if like an idea is good, if you're going to be happy doing it. Like even business ideas. Okay, if something doesn't grow after like 5, 6, 7 months, and you think you're putting all the right stuff into it, it's probably not going to grow. Like it's probably just not a good idea. It's okay to not have good ideas. That's why, but you'll never know until you do it.
You've debunked the 1,000 hours.
Yeah, so the so-called 10,000 hour rule,
10,000 hours,
where you have to do something for 10,000 hours to be
Well, we hear
great
this a
at
lot
it.
in sports, by the way. They'll say it, on the mat, you've got to basically, have 10,000 hours of doing double legs, or you've got to have, you have to have rep this, it's 1,000 times before you're even, a beginner at it. It's like there's this mentality that you've just got to repeatedly do this over and over and over and over again if you ever want to be good or great at it.
This is always a constant debate. Like no one really knows the full answer. And maybe to be the best number one in the world, you would know more than I would. Like maybe you do have to have those 10,000 hours. But it seems to me also, if you really experiment a lot, you could figure out something in faster than 10,000 hours. So I'll give you an example again from comedy, but I have tons of examples. So it was harder for me, as I mentioned, it was hard necessarily in the beginning to get on stage, particularly in New York City. There's 5,000 comedians, there's only so many comedy clubs. So one time I did an experiment. What if I treated a subway car like a stage? So I went on the New York City subway and I brought someone with me to videotape. And I thought I was going to, once I got there, I was too scared. I said, forget it, we're not going to do this. But then I said, just turn on the video camera and we'll see. And then I started doing comedy from subway car to subway car for the next several hours. And it was just an experiment. And it's a hostile audience. And it's a very quick audience. You have to make them laugh very quickly or they're going to hate you. And it was just an experiment. And I got such valuable experience and knowledge. And I was on stage like 30 times as opposed to waiting for 30 comedy clubs to let me perform there. So I kind of skipped this whole kind of branch of learning in order to, when I did this little experiment. So sometimes experiments are a good way to kind of skip some of those 10,000 hours. Like, and I don't know the equivalent in fighting, but it used to be if you were fighting, traditionally you would think of boxing. But what about when there's not as many kind of boundaries and rules as boxing? Well, what if you kind of get someone on the ground and break their fingers? Oh, that turns out to be a shortcut for very quickly winning the fight.
Right.
So that might have been an experiment at first. I don't know. But you don't necessarily need the 10,000 hours. If you could experiment enough and try things and see what works, you could really, save yourself a lot of time as opposed to just learning the same things everyone else is learning over and over again.
Well, I think I could apply what you're saying to sport in a way, because there is this idea that there's not really a way to do it smarter. You've just got to do it enough. You've got to go do it over and over and over, and you've got to, learn through repetition. But let's say that I show up and on my first day, I learn a double leg and I'm told I need to spend 10,000 hours learning a double leg, right? To be great at it. But what if I experimented and said, okay, I'm going to learn that double leg and I'm going to do it, 100 times every day and make sure that I understand the double leg. But then I'm just going to wrestle and I'm going to see what move comes naturally the best to me. I'm going to experiment, right? And every time you go in a live situation, basically you're experimenting. You're seeing what works best for you. And then in that situation, you actually uncover the things that you are naturally gifted at, the things that you're the greatest at. And then you could take that thing and say, that's what I naturally excel at. So I'm not going to be in a box of okay, double leg or single leg or this or that. It's I actually have this hybrid move that I haven't really seen anybody else do. So nobody's really preparing for it. And I'm going to work on that over and over and over until I'm so great at it, nobody can stop me.
Right. So through an experiment, you realized what kind of sub area of fighting moves you could be the best in the world at the quickest.
Correct.
And so So like, for instance, like let's take writing movies, Star Wars. Okay, it's an original idea. It was an original script, everything. But basically, he took concepts from science fiction, combined it with concepts from Westerns, and let's throw in the structure of the story of Jesus, and he had Star Wars. He basically combined all these elements, put it together in a script that he wrote fairly quickly, and he had like the greatest selling movie of all time. And then there's another example. I forgot what this is called, with the pole vault, where it used to be people would run and just run forward over the bar. I don't know any of my sports terms. But then in the 60s, there was this one guy, and everyone thought he was crazy. He would jump backwards, and suddenly he broke the world record. Like, he was the first person to just kind of jump backwards over the doing the pole vault. And then now everybody does it. That's in the Olympics. That's the only way to do it. And it's named after him. I forgot what it's called, the something flip. And he only did that through experimenting. No one else, for some reason, had ever jumped backwards over the vault.
Following the rules.
Yeah. And so this really is how you get to be the best in the world at something. You make it your own. I know one guy, for instance, loves sports and loves science. And so he decided to specialize in both. And he became the youngest writer at Sports Illustrated. His name's David Epstein. He wrote the book Range. And by combining things, that's another way to skip these 10,000 hours. He didn't have to be the best scientist. He didn't have to be the most knowledgeable of sports, but he is the best in the world at understanding the science of sports. So those intersections are often where you can find out where you're the best in the world.
Where do you think that you developed this way of thinking? Because dare I say it's unique. I feel like it is unique in a world where, when we go to public school, this is not how they want you to think, because this is annoying. Were you an annoying student by any means? Were you asking a lot of questions? Were you inquisitive? Were you outside the box?
I don't think I was in that sense, because I didn't really enjoy school at all. So I would just skip school as much as possible. Like, I just didn't go whenever I could avoid going.
And
like
when you were there, were you thinking about other things?
Yeah, I was always just working on other things on my own in the back of the classroom. I didn't get good grades at all. And because I just didn't care. I really didn't care at all. And maybe this is a problem, but I could only do what I was interested in doing. So some years, if I wasn't interested in making money, okay, I'd make the minimum and do what I love doing. Other years in life, I was interested in money, so I focused on that. And the same in school. I just never was interested in grades. I could only do it if I was interested. It's almost like a problem.
It's not a problem, though. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think it's the way that it was meant to be. And I think we're too much pushed and indoctrinated to just make the money, because the money is the thing that's supposed to fix the problems and the success. And I know that we talked about this quite at great length when I was on your podcast, and about how it fixed nothing for me. When I got to the belt, it was that optical illusion for me. That's like that beautiful, shiny belt, and the money and the things that come with that are sure to fix everything. Because I just bought into what we kind of been told. Like, you just make your career and you make your money and you get the big house and you get all the things, and all the things make you happy, right? It's like, it's a crock of shit. It doesn't make you happy at all. I really honestly think that I could have lived in a cardboard box, and if I had loved myself the way that I do now, I would have been very fulfilled, which again is happiness. Like that, when I use happiness loosely, I want happy. Sometimes I say that, and that's not exactly what I mean. I mean fulfilled.
Yeah, like you have well-being.
Yes.
You feel like you have community. You feel like you're doing good in the world, and you have friends.
Purpose.
And purpose
Connection.
And one time I tried this experiment where there was a period where I didn't own a home, and then I was renting, and my lease was up. And I decided, you know what? I don't even want to rent an apartment. I don't want to rent, and I don't want to own. So I actually threw away everything I owned. So I was going away on a trip. This was in 2015. I was going away on a trip, and I got a friend of mine to go to my house and throw everything out. Don't leave anything. And I said, don't call me. I don't want you to ask me any questions. Take your family. You can keep whatever you want. You could sell whatever you want and keep the money. You could give to charity whatever you want, or you could throw everything else away. She did call me once and say, you sure you want to throw out your diploma? And I said, that's the first thing I would throw out. Just throw out my diploma. And so I got back.
Oh
my
my
lease
gosh.
was up. I had no place to go, so I just started staying in Airbnbs, and all I had was basically the backpack I had taken with me on this business trip, and I stayed that way for about 3 years, just living in Airbnbs, and I tried that experiment, and it was great. I loved it, and it's not even that much more. I don't even know if it's more expensive than renting, because when you stay in Airbnbs, you don't have to pay the rent, you don't have to pay maintenance, there's no utilities, and I would eat out every day. I didn't have any, but I would eat out simply. I wouldn't go to fancy restaurants every day. And it was just a great way to live. But when you start, my kids at the time weren't living with me, but they would visit on the weekends, and they always liked a different neighborhood every time. And, but then eventually a friend of mine told me, look, if you're going to start dating and you want to get married again, you need an actual place. Like, a woman wants a place.
Stability.
Yeah. No one's going to trust you if you're moving around all the time.
Oh my goodness. What do you feel like you took away from that experience? What a unique experience. I don't think many people could say that they did that by choice, at least.
Yeah, I would say I really learned that I don't need anything. Like, I want money because that is a way to be, have some financial freedom and not worry. Like, if you get sick, so you could take care of yourself. If my kids get sick, I could take care of them. I could do things that I want to do, and I have more choices. But I really, there's not a single material possession that I would want or need. I just got that out of my head for forever. And now, so I did meet someone. I got married, and she had all her things, like a lifetime filled with things, like most people do. And like nothing I would say now very few things in my house are mine, but I don't mind, but I know that I don't really need any of it.
That's so freeing. I think about minimalist mindset, and I'm trying to dip more into that. Maybe my next list tomorrow will be things that I can, like, ideas of things how I can minimalize. There we go. So I'm
well, your new house too. It sounds like by doing things like composting and things like that, you're reducing dependence on the outside world. So it seems like that is a direction that you've been going.
Much. Even at my house now, I try to have almost a zero waste policy. It's very close to zero. We have chickens, so most things go to the chickens, at least with like food. And in general, I hate being wasteful. For me, it's just, I think we're gluttonous in our consumption of everything in America. And we were very wasteful, and we just, throw our food away or throw it away. And it's like, I don't like that. But, so for me, this is something that I've fixated on quite a bit. It's like, how can I be the least wasteful as possible? Like, well, if I get chickens, then I can feed them, the scraps and the foods. And if and when we have a dog, we've had, dogs at different points, but they get this meat and the scraps, and then the compost. I have like a little compost that I spin, and I don't have it in ground. That's what I really want to learn about, is like making a big compost in ground.
What does it mean in ground?
It's like you like dig out, you kind of dig out an area and you line it, and then you compost the ground. You compost the stuff in the ground. The one that I have now is an above ground one, so it's like this container, if you will, that you put everything into, and then you kind of turn it. And the other one in the ground, you actually like mix the mulch like by hand, and you kind of just like, you let it just literally lay out on the ground, and you cover it with leaves and grass, and then you mix it, and it gets all hot and does its thing, but it's like right there on the ground. There's nothing really to hold it. You don't have to buy anything. You just need, the space to put the stuff.
I see. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. That would be a good thing to learn.
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, it makes me feel better. There's something for me that makes me feel really happy about not throwing things in the trash.
What about here's a bad idea. So what if someone should start a restaurant called Leftovers? And it's just leftovers. You know how like restaurants, they have to throw out their food if it's not eaten.
I know.
And they have to do it. It's like
legal.
legal.
Lawsuits, I got food poisoning.
Yeah. So what if there's a restaurant that just takes leftovers thrown out by other restaurants and serves that as meals?
It'd be great. But like I said, people would be like, I got food poisoning. There's all those things in place. But I love the idea. But I think, I always think about that too. I'm like, gosh, there's so much food wasted. Can't we just like give it to like homeless people and stuff? But then, there's a story you hear about this homeless person that sued and got millions of dollars and put this business that had good intentions out of business. And just unfortunately, I think the way that it works here is against some people doing the good things, because it just doesn't, if it's not profit driven,
Yeah.
someone will find a way to make it profit driven and it'll be at your expense. It's what it seems like it's set up to do. We're just like a sue happy country. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think, I always think government is set up to help those who can't help themselves. And that's kind of like the end of it. But now it's sort of like everybody feels nobody can help themselves. So there's the whole legal system is set up to basically just tear everyone down.
Right. Yeah. So it's very unfortunate. But I love that idea. I do want to live off of my land. I want to have goats and chickens and cows and even meat bunnies. Isn't that wild? I just really learned about the benefit of having meat bunnies. And
What's a
ducks.
meat bunny?
It's literally bunnies that are raised for the meat. Like you literally you eat them and they procreate so quickly. I mean, it's like every 12 weeks they have like new babies. And so you literally can like make rabbit stew and like all these things and you eat them. You just eat them and it's a quick turnover.
See, and this is what I worry about. Like if you were teleported 1,000 years in the past, you could survive if you do all this stuff.
This is kind of my thought behind it.
I don't know how I would survive.
I want to be, I'm very motivated to be self-sufficient. Like to just the idea that if you took, you know the show Naked and Afraid?
No.
You've never heard of the show. Okay.
I'll look it up.
Yes, look at it. So they drop these people in the wilderness with nothing, not even clothes. And they have
I have heard about this. Yeah.
They have to figure out how to survive. And so they have to either make their own clothes or make their own, they make shoes if they need them or whatever it is that they need in order to make it through the however long, I think it's a time period that they have to make it for, feed themselves. There's something that soothes me thinking that I could do that well. That if I needed to, like a survivalist mindset, and maybe that's the fighter in me, but it's like knowing that if power went down, like the power grid, and it all went down and we didn't have phones to tell us where to drive to, like, could I get us from this place? Could I feed my family? Could I do those things? Do I know how to preserve food? Like, let's say, we have all these fruit trees on this property. So part of the reason for the canning and things like that is like, I want to know how to preserve the food. And can I do that over a fire? Can I do it with like the absolute basic necessities, just in case? Because I feel like this is a skill set that would be beneficial for every human to know. We've just gotten so far out of touch. We just assume that like we do our hunting in grocery stores now.
Exactly, yeah. And I am guilty of this. I can't do anything. I honestly would not survive more. Like on that show, I would survive like an hour. And then I'd say, get me out of here. I can't do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we live in a world where people have the option. But like, God forbid we didn't have the option for, any reason. I just like the idea of being prepared to like use my hands, use my body, use my skills in the land and to be able to survive if it ever happened.
Do you think you would be able to compete on that show?
Yeah, I think I would be able to.
You should. You should try it.
Yeah?
Or,
is it still running? I don't even
know. I don't know. But that's the other thing too. Think about that one idea. So you could compete on that show. You could produce the next version of that show. You could write about how to survive on that show. You could do podcasts about how to survive on that show. There's so many ways to slice wanting to know this knowledge, as well as, okay, I need this knowledge just to live in a house.
Yes. It's so good. I love how your mind thinks. Honestly, the more that I talk to you, I realize like we have similar mindset. I just think that you have developed this a little bit more and you've been successful in doing it, where I feel like sometimes people look at what I've done and be like, well, you kind of got lucky. Like people kind of think that I got lucky because you look at the landscape of women's MMA wasn't really, it was wide open. Like there's not as many women. So it was easier for you to get to the top. And, there weren't that many women wrestling. So you just, that was on your side. And then there was this and there was that. And, you're not actually smart. You just have gotten kind of lucky and you make stupid decisions and it just happens to work out. Like I feel that comes down on me a lot. Like people look at me and say like, she's not making like these, and how this works out for her, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel like people look at me sometimes. And I'm like, I don't have a business degree. But I have a lot of ideas. I like how you do. Like, well, I could do this off of it, and I could do that, and I could do this, and I could do that, and then I could turn it into this, and I could turn it into that. Then my mind wanders in these ways.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's like I get that a lot too. Like people just, in a lot of people out there will think I'm just an idiot. And they're like, how did this guy, only in America, how did this guy get any success at all? And But I think people don't understand that you create your luck. Like the luck is almost 100% created, unless it's like winning the lottery or something. Because look at all the work you've had to do.
Buy a ticket.
I mean, yeah. You have
then
to.
you had to buy a ticket. You still had to create some degree.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not like it just,
But like to reach the levels you've reached, and it doesn't matter if, of course, everything's right place at right time. So that's not even a fair criticism. Bill Gates would not have been successful if it wasn't for the fact that he was essentially born in 1953. So that when he was the ideal age to be an entrepreneur, that was exactly when the microcomputer, the personal computer, was being invented. So he was lucky. He's at the right place, born in the right year to be Bill Gates. And everything has that. So it's not even a fair criticism. But the other thing about luck is that hard work looks like luck to people who just are not aware of they don't know. So they don't know what hard work is. So they just think that success is luck. But I always tell myself, oh, I don't care what people think. But ultimately, I do a little bit. Like, it's hard not to care what people think.
Yeah, well, because to some degree, it is a reflection of the perception that we're leaving on this world. And so I do think that there's some value in at least being, at least listening to what people have to say about you, because even if it's negative, I think we just need to have a good barometer basically on like understanding what is actually valuable to developing further and what is not. Because sometimes constructive criticism is great. It's like, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about it that way. Or, gosh, I didn't realize that when I do it this way, it could have this impact or whatnot. Now there are a lot of people out there who just want to hate.
And that's just it. You have to kind of know who to trust with the constructive criticism.
Right.
And it's not easy to give constructive criticism, so it must not be easy for them to give it to you. If I know for me, it's hard to give constructive criticism. It's a hard skill. So to get actual constructive criticism, probably very little of criticism is constructive. So you really have to know how to weed out the bad, but it's hard because it can be hurtful.
Oh, for sure.
Nobody wants their feelings hurt. Even if people say, oh, I don't care what people say about me. Sometimes they just hit by accident and they hit the right buttons.
They care the most.
Yeah.
People who say that all the time oftentimes care the most. And they put up that hard exterior because they want to, deflect because they don't have a better skill set, in my opinion, of internalizing it. And then I used to be the same way, of course, I was like, I don't care what people have to say about me and this chip on my shoulder. And I don't care if people think that women shouldn't fight. And I don't care. And I don't care. And I don't care. But I do care. But now the way that I choose to let it affect me, instead of, just deflecting and pretending like I don't care and ignoring it, pretending like it's not something that has any bearing on me, which does, is that I would say after I had a plant medicine journey, for me, it let me dip into the empathy and realizing kind of what my mom always told me is that, people are going through their own problems and issues, and they have their own trauma, and they have the thing, and you have to sit back and say, somebody, granted it's not a bot, because I feel like a lot of the information and I think comments and things that come on the internet now are not even real people.
Right.
I think this is where the cancel culture, I don't even think that's really a real, I think it's mostly fabricated. That's my, if you want to get into my conspiracy theory.
I think that's probably right. And I think that's another thing to be careful about on social media. Like most facts are just not true. Most things that people say are just not true.
Most things are not true, even the way people present their lives. Even if you look on my social media, the way that I present on social media, I definitely want to, I'm never disingenuous. Is that the right word? Disingenuous? I just drew a blank on how to say that word.
I think that's the right word,
sure.
if I were to guess.
And I never want to come across inorganic or anything like that. But I don't show you all the aspects because that's not what that is for me. Social media is an opportunity to promote what it is that you want to promote. And so you will never see my darkest moments on social media. I mean, for the most part, that's not something that I share. I will talk here on a podcast and I will be about it, but I'm not going to be in a bathroom crying, mascara streaming down my face. I'm not going to click a selfie and put it on social media. That's just not what you're going to see. But I certainly have those moments. I absolutely have those moments where it's just like, I am so overwhelmed. I'm rock bottom. I'm crying. I'm frustrated. And then it's like, okay, what have I learned from this? And then I maybe sometimes will put words behind that in a message in a podcast or in a newsletter or in something like that, and about a lesson that I learned in that moment and how I moved through that. But that's not.
I find that there's like a grace period. Like I can't do it the day my mascara is running down in the mirror, but maybe like 3 or 4 years later,
Yes,
I've learned, there's enough distance. Maybe I was learned enough from it that then I could write about it or talk about it.
But I think it helps to feel sorry for people. That is what has helped me when I see somebody deflecting like negativity towards me for random reasons. Somebody I don't know, so it's not like constructive criticism from somebody that I care about. It's what you would call hate. Hate mail, hate comment, hate whatever. I'm like, okay, well, either it's a bot or it's somebody who hasn't met themselves any further along either.
Yeah, no, I agree. And let me ask you, when you were rising up and there was articles about you and TV and you're achieving your success, did you have family members who suddenly, for no real understandable reason, did they suddenly hated you? Or people who were otherwise close to you?
Honestly, I cannot say that was an experience of my own. And if it was, it's something I didn't let sit deep enough to me where I can recall it now. There were people that suddenly came out of the woodwork and kind of wanted to be my best friend that weren't. I did have that.
But which I guess is the flip side of the coin too. Like people just react to you differently.
Yeah,
so it's hard for people to just take your success for what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes people all of a sudden started expecting things, and that was really interesting and hard for me to kind of try to wrap my head around at 20 years old, in my 20s.
And what if you didn't live up to those expectations?
Well, then they would either disappear out of my life or they would say that I've changed. And that was very interesting to me. I was like, you know what? I had to sit back and actually ask myself that question, like, have I changed? Because you hear this all the time. People get famous and, it goes to their head. And they change. They stop being the person that they were, and they're arrogant now, and they're not who they were. And I had to sit back and say, is that me? Like, have I honestly? I said, and in my best accountability, said I don't really feel like I have changed. I still am pretty simple. Honestly, I want to share this with you. It's like I am already implementing this minimalist mindset. Whenever I go shopping, which is usually at thrift stores, I'm always talking myself out of buying like new clothes. I'm not like a clothes person. I've had this vest for probably 5 years. These shoes were given to me by a friend of mine, and I think the skirt was a thrift store purchase, and this tank top was given to me by my same friend that gave me these shoes. Okay, so this is how, and I create different outfits and different looks with the same things over and over and over and over again. And I try to repurpose things, and I keep things for forever until they just like don't work anymore. And I guess where I was going with this is like, I drive a Toyota 4Runner. It doesn't have rims and wheels on it or whatever. It doesn't have. I don't even wash it that often. I don't really care that much about those things. I don't like investing my time in making people believe that I'm so great because what I drive, what I pull into with is how somehow you're supposed to judge my value. I really want to get away from that. So I was looking at that and say like, gosh, even though I've made, a lot, like enough money, like I'm good. I own my house, I own my car, all this stuff. I don't think that I've changed because if anything, I still do the things I do. I still shop the way that I shop. I still treat people with the empathy and kindness and those things. So I don't think that I've changed. But what has changed is the expectation people now have of me because I've reached this pillar of status and this pillar of, of money and that I could now give more than I could have before. But all of a sudden, why is it an expectation? How has my success and my blood and broken noses and sweat and tears all of a sudden become something that you're entitled to?
Right. And so that's why sometimes it's hard to understand where criticism or comments come from because the other people change around you. Like their expectations of you start to change. And then if they start to criticize by saying, oh, she's changed, you have to think, yes, maybe I've changed, but also how have they changed? So I like this approach of feeling sorry for them because, it's too bad they don't realize what's going on in their own head, that they're having this weird interaction with me based on their own expectations. Yes. And then you have to decide for yourself, is that what's happening or did I change really? you've had tons of news articles written about you. What percentage would you say contained at least one falsehood of all the articles ever written about you?
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
probably
a lot.
like
And
almost 100% probably.
Oh, yeah, and especially misrepresentation of what was actually said, breaking apart, something. So it's like a partial truth, but a partial lie, but it's implied based on the rest of the article that it's this. That's really frustrating.
And so think about it. If that's your experience with all the media ever written about you, think about all the media ever written in general. Probably almost everything out there is just not true.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really hard to know anything except your own experience. And it's, that's what I tell myself when I get criticisms for one reason or other. Like nobody's opinion really counts. But of course, again, sometimes they'll hit the right buttons and, it'll offend me.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to think about. And the only people I would say is maybe my younger brother and my sister. Not that they hated me, but I think that there was they didn't know how to react, and they were very disinterested in everything I was doing, which was kind of hurtful because it's like your family, it's like your immediate family. It's like you really expect like the most support from your immediate family, but for the large part, I would say fairly disinterested. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like everyone else wants to like, be there for my next fight and like see see the things. It's like people who don't even know me are just like so excited. And it's like, then you can't really get, your own like siblings to be interested in it. And, my dad kind of came along late in all of this as far as like being supportive. And I think it took an amount of success before my dad started to be,
because it was finally something he could measure it. So it was something that was measurable in his world.
Yes.
So and so he was able to, okay, I understand now.
Yes.
Your success intersected with his ability to measure this.
Yes.
And that is painful when it happens to siblings. Like siblings can get very distant. You're no longer the Miesha they knew as a little girl. You're Miesha the fighter, the success. It's different.
Yeah.
It's hard, I think, for siblings.
I think so too. And I can understand that. And I don't have any hard feelings towards any of my family for the way that they have interpreted it, because nobody prepares you for this stuff. And even my dad, I think, a lot of it came from like worry and concern and not understanding what it was I was doing. But as a father, it's like the last thing you want to do is like not be able to protect your daughter, right? That just must be like a hard feeling, even as a significant other. It's like, could you imagine watching your wife go into a fight, like willingly? I mean, it would just be tough, right? It's like you wouldn't want to support that in a way.
I don't know. I actually honestly don't know how, because if that was her thing.
Yeah.
Actually, my first wife was a flyweight Golden Gloves boxer.
Okay.
But I never saw her fight. She did it before she had met me.
Do you think you might have been nervous at her fights, though? It's not that you wouldn't have supported, but I mean, like, is there a part of you that would be nervous, like, to see her potentially get hurt?
I honestly don't know, because I understand it's a sport and there's things that happen.
Yeah.
So if I was to the point where I was accepting of it from the beginning, I obviously wouldn't want to see her get hurt, but I don't know. I don't know how I would react if I saw her actually getting hit.
Accepting from the beginning, so there's the difference, I suppose. It's like if you enter a situation and you kind of know it, but this one kind of just got the like thrust on him. And I think, my dad's like former military, Green Beret, like very much that kind of like protective. And I think for me going out there and willingly getting fight, it was really tough for him to wrap his mind around. It's like his little girl, is like, what? You know, like how do I come to terms with how I feel inside about my role as a man, as a father, and what she's doing of her own free will. It's like that they didn't match up in any way. It's like two magnets that was like the opposite, attraction.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd react. Like when my daughters were born, the thing I mostly thought about was, in terms of being sad about it, was one day they're going to have kind of the emotional upheavals that I've gone through, whether it's as a teenager going through puberty or young adult or whatever. And that was more what I have been and still am afraid of for them. Yeah. But I've never thought of them being in like a physical fight.
Yeah. And what that might feel like.
Yeah.
I bet you it would be challenging, because I think even for me, even understanding the sport, very well myself, if I, seeing my kids, I think would still be challenging, because there's just an element of you that doesn't want them to have to go through, the pain, but that's life, and it's just whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, all kinds of different pains. There is value in having to get through that.
I guess because I've never been in a fight, so I don't know what it's really like. I don't know what that kind of pain is like.
Yeah.
I know what the pain of let's say a breakup is like. That I know, but I've never been bleeding from a fight, so I have no clue.
Honestly, the fights themselves are not very painful, if I'm being totally honest. Usually, 9 times out of 10, most of the strikes in a fight are not painful because you have adrenaline going, and you just don't. Have you ever even been in like an unexpected situation where you've never been like attacked or anything like that? Nothing ever happened?
Nothing.
Okay. What about like just maybe playing like a club sport or something like that, or like sport at school? Did you do anything like that where it's like, okay, you had to have had an instance where you've just like, something hit you out of somewhere, and it's like you just don't have the time to react to like the fact it hurts later, but in that moment, because it's just like so quick and there's just enough to process that it's not painful. Is that
maybe I'm too careful physically.
Like,
I don't know. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 18. Like I've never had anything.
Yeah. Well, there's a friend of mine who was telling me, she's like, gosh, I just don't think I could ever, and she's the sweetest. Her name's Joyce, but she was she had gotten jumped by these 2 men and, long time ago. And she said, you know what, gosh, she was recalling it. She's like, I guess you're right. Like I was all bruised and everything, but it's like in that moment, there was just so much going on. I didn't actually like the stuff that was going on in that moment wasn't actually painful, like physically painful, because you're processing so much. So I think that there's something that just doesn't allow in those high pressure situations to feel the physical pain. It's almost like it's not necessary. And so that's the best way I can
explain. Do you feel
it
afterwards?
Yes, that's the part I worry about. So it's like not only that you feel the physical pain afterwards, but that it's like a constant reminder oftentimes of, a lot of times there's more pain physical that comes with like a loss. And like that, enduring that, like, so when I've like broken my nose and I lost a fight and it's like for 2 weeks, it's like you don't get to think about anything else because it's like.
Yeah, and it's not like, so you've lost, so you're feeling like the shame of that.
Yes.
You're feeling the pain. And there's no way to have a rematch. You can't just say, hey, meet me today. We're fighting again. Like there's no rematch.
Yeah, it's not like a game of chess, you know, or like when you can just like do it again the next day or the next weekend.
Yeah.
If ever. I mean, there are rematches that I would have loved to have had. And I'll never get another chance. It's a one-time deal.
And then forever, you look at it and you feel that's a mark on your score.
Yes.
And you have to deal with that.
Yep.
That's a kind of pain.
It is. It's just like forever written in stone. But it's just one of those things that I think you just have to learn like anything else. You just got to get through it. In your book you talk about the pillars of health, and we've talked a little bit about the mind muscle, and I really love that because I don't think that enough people think about their brain and their creativity as a thought process. And I'm kind of someone who I'm trying to inspire people to lean on their intuition more, but there's such a level of disconnect, I think, in most of the things that we do that we're just kind of going through the motions. We don't stop to trigger the creative mind or even our self-conscious, being aware of the things that we desire, the things that we need, the things that we want. And you talked about it, atrophying. And I really loved the way that you drew that analogy because, just as a professional athlete, we work and we get the muscles because of our body and we're constantly using our body. But like if we sit an injury happens or maybe, you're in a coma, like Ben Askren, for example. I don't know if you know who he is, but amazing wrestler, fought in the UFC and he got like some kind of necrosis of his lungs and his wife convinced him to go to the hospital. He had to get a double lung transplant. Otherwise, like healthy looking, like muscular, great in shape, always been an athlete.
Where did it come from? Did he just get some infection? Or?
He did some competition. And then he somehow got an infection in his lungs, and they don't really know why or how that this happened. It just seems like not possible, but it happened. And he was in a coma for like 50 days and woke up and he was just like a skeleton because, all that muscle just basically withered away. And so, you look at him and you're like, oh my God. You're like, whoa, especially if you know Ben Askren, like you've seen him fight in the UFC, the man, great mindset, though. I feel like his mental mindset didn't atrophy at all. I mean, within his first couple of days of waking up, he's doing this video. The guy can still barely talk because he's still using these lungs that are newly transplanted. And I mean, he's just out there spreading this positivity. I'm like, how can you be like? It's so admirable how he can be so positive in a situation where obviously there's a lot of, and I'm not saying that every moment's easy for him. I'm sure it's not, but that's the point. Is his mentality getting through that is very admirable.
I think mindset is so important and is underestimated, particularly in like sports or any kind of competition where, even business, where it's just hard to be better than the people you're competing against. Mindset is got to be like 50% of it. Because let's say you're fighting someone with equal skills of you. The person who's kind of more positive, more optimistic, less thinking, like when the first time you're hit during a match, there's probably a tendency to think, oh, here we go again. I'm getting hit. I'm going down. Like, then that's going to change how you behave. And for someone like that too, like if they're just dwelling, like, of course this happened to me, that I got this infection, there goes my career. Maybe his career would be over that, or he wouldn't be able to kind of jumpstart something new for himself. Like mindset is 50% of everything we do, at least.
If not more.
And I think that was the thing about like writing the ideas down and exercising this idea muscle, is that it's more than just giving me ideas. Eventually, it gave me kind of a mindset that, oh, I can come up with ideas still, that I'm not beaten by what's been trying to beat me down, and I'm not defeated yet.
Yeah. Is that something that you had to develop in resilience to, making a lot of money and then losing it? I'm really interested in the first process of you doing that. And I think so many people are afraid to jump before they know the net is there. And so they sit there and they do this and they twiddle their thumbs and they hem and they haw and they don't make any move because they're too afraid to make it and lose it. Or they'll self-sabotage, or they'll do these things. So like, I want to know how you get to the highest point, and then I want to know how you get to the lowest point, and then I want to know how you go back up, and then how you get more comfortable with the whole idea. I think that's one of the most fascinating things about you.
Yeah, and I think getting comfortable, like no one ever wants to lose. Like it sucks every time. Like it's losing in anything. It's just the worst feeling. You go into something thinking you're not going to lose, and then you lose. It's the exact opposite of what you expected. But I think, and look, the first time I started a business, I stayed at my full-time job for 18 months after I started the business. I mean, I had a whole office and employees and everything, and I was kind of sneaking out of my job throughout the day to meet clients and do sales and all that stuff. But I didn't leave my job for 18 months after I started the business. I already had like 20 employees before I fully jumped. So I was very risk averse in that sense, but I still did it because you can't, if you have an idea and you want to do it and you like it, but you're like, oh no, but it's not right for me right now. You just got to do it, or else you don't really want to do it. So you can't twiddle on your thumbs. You have to take some action every day. And this was the problem I had when I lost it all. So I lost it all because I started bad businesses and I didn't understand risk, and I put all of my money. Let's say I had made $15 million selling my first business. I literally put $15 million into my next investments and businesses, and they all went bad. And so I lost everything. And that was too much risk. But then I lost everything. And then the problem I had was I thought I had just been lucky. I thought I had just won the lottery, and I'm never going to be able to win the lottery again. That was my one chance, and I ruined it. I'm going to lose my house. My kids are never going to know me as a success. They were little babies. I'm not even able to feed them. There was one week and I literally could not feed them. I had no money. After having $15 million, I had less than $100 in the bank account. But once and it was almost by accident, I just started doing something. I started writing down these ideas, and then bit by bit, I started sending the ideas out to people and trying to build connections again to the outside world, starting from nothing. None of these people I was writing to knew me. I didn't have any network. I had no friends at this point. No one's your friend after you go broke, and at least for me. And it was really hard. But A, I started writing these ideas down. B, I started doing things with them. I'm gonna send these. I'm gonna come up with ideas for this person, and maybe it'll be good for him, and there's a chance he'll reach back to me, and on and on. I did this every day, and then also by doing that, I got a sense that I can't waste time thinking about the past. I was constantly filled with regret. Like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? But that was just taking up mental real estate, and I couldn't afford. I had to feed my babies. I couldn't afford to take up this mental real estate anymore, nor could I hope on any one thing happening in the future. I just have to try everything. So every idea I had, I just would try. I would do something. And that's really how, and just every single time, because I've probably been like dead broke to zero. So then I would make millions again, go back to zero again, make millions again, go back to zero. I probably did this 3 times. And then I think I did get a little comfortable. It didn't feel any better, but at least I knew, okay, I know the playbook for this. I'm going to come up with ideas, and then I'm going to do things. And I'm better at coming up with ideas now because I do it every day for 20 years, been writing down 10 ideas a day. So you build that muscle until it's really good. So I always now know it's depressing if I go broke. I don't, knock on wood, I got to knock on wood later. But it would be massively depressing, but I know I would be able to climb out of it, even though I would be horrified and depressed and ashamed.
Right. Do you diversify a little bit now to ensure that won't necessarily happen? Like,
I diversify my interests so that I'm not all in on any one thing. Like I might be.
You think you did more fixating before, where it was like one thing.
Yeah, and okay, if this is a great idea, I would think more of reward than risk before. Oh, this is a great idea. I'm going to make $100 million if I put $10 million into this. That's a bad idea if all you have is $10 million. So I just did not understand the risk reward equation. And now also you just get a little bit more sophisticated about how to execute an idea. That's a skill. There's having ideas. People say ideas are a dime a dozen, execution is everything. That is just not true, because execution is, you have to have good ideas on how to execute. So if let's say you wanted to start a homeschool, you could go out there and say, oh, I'm going to raise $50 million to start a homeschool system. Or you can say, oh, I'm just going to homeschool my kids, and then tell the neighbors they're welcome also to bring their kids over. So one way would be a stupid idea to execute. Another idea would be a smart idea for execution. So execution ideas are a subset of ideas. And so still that skill is important. To execute is the same skill as having ideas. So I think I'm a little better now at that execution skill because I'm better at having ideas.
So good. So it's a way to rethink the way through a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm better at blocking and tackling on the way to execution, whereas I was not good at it all. And also, you know your weaknesses more.
Yeah.
Like, I know what things I'm good at, what things I'm not good at. Like you described how your fiance is more maybe detail-oriented, or he's good at a lot of the things that you're not.
Plan.
Yeah. And I know the good things that I need and the people around me. I'm really bad at paperwork. So I have someone who just does paperwork for me. I'm really bad at keeping track of my schedule. So I have someone who helps me with my schedules. I'm a poor judge of character. So I make sure if I'm doing a deal with anybody, I tend to like everybody. So if I make sure before I do a deal with somebody that someone else is with me to make sure, hey, I checked all the boxes on this person. So you got to know also it's better to solve for what you're weak at than just simply be good at everything. I can't be good at everything.
That's a really good one. I like that a lot too. I think I try to operate more in my area of excellence now. This is kind of, I think, what you're saying is like, know what I'm good at. Like, where does the draw pull me the most, and like, what am I good at within that area, and what do I have to delegate or outsource the resources to complete this task. And I've gotten more comfortable with that, because I used to be a do-it-yourself kind of person in every single way, top to bottom. And it's just like, you're just not as efficient. I mean, so you have to build that good support system. So I like that. That was a great takeaway. Is there anything else that you think that people should kind of know that's a good takeaway that you have from all your experiences that you draw on?
Well, I do wonder about this idea of how important is obsession. Like, could I do think you can't really get great at something unless you're obsessed with it. And then I'm just trying to figure out if there's maybe better ways for me, myself, I'm trying to figure out if there's better ways or other ways to enjoy something other than just being obsessed with it. And so I don't know if this is a takeaway. It's more for me, something I'm trying to learn and get better at is to enjoy without obsession. And one thing that has helped me is to think about things in terms of, oh, here's an interesting quest to do. So let's say I want to do stand-up comedy. I don't have to be the best in the world at it, but it's a quest to just go up there and do it and learn a few skills. Or like when I was younger, my own competitive thing was I played chess when I was very young, and I got to a decent level. And then I stopped for 25 years. And then I started again thinking, oh, I'm going to be just as good as an adult or as an older person. And it's been so disappointing not being as good as when I was younger. Imagine if you started fighting again when you were 50 years old. You wouldn't be as good. You might be disappointed in yourself. But then you would say rationally, no, I'm older, so it makes sense that I'm not as good. But for chess, because it's like a mental thing, I thought I would be just as good, and I wasn't. And so I'm just trying to figure out for myself, that it would be a better way. One way I can improve my life now is to learn how to enjoy without necessarily being great at something. And so we're always on a path.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Is trying to figure out how to, they always say appreciate the journey, which is a little hard to do sometimes. You always want to get there. Nobody enjoys actually being in the plane. You enjoy landing.
Yeah.
So.
So true. Until you have kids and at home and you're like, oh, this is actually, now there's something that I can enjoy about the plane. It's
That's true.
Nice and quiet and just like listen to my Audible book and my podcast.
When they put Wi-Fi on planes, they ruin plane travel.
Oh, I know, right? Because then all the access, the work can still come. It's like,
Yeah.
That was kind of like the forced quiet that I needed. But anyways, how do people follow along with what you're doing? What's the best way to
probably follow me on Twitter or Instagram or something.
Yeah.
Or listen to me on this episode. Listen again and again. Listen 1,000 times to this one episode.
Yeah.
So
and your podcast.
Oh, the James Altucher Show is my podcast, which you have been a guest on and hope you'll be a guest on again.
I would love
I love doing this in person too.
It's been so much better.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you always do all episodes in person?
Almost all. If I can, I really try to do things in person as much as possible. But Vegas is a relatively easy spot to eventually get someone here. And I'm just patient with my guests. Most of the people that I would be talking to usually have plans to travel to Vegas within the year. So it makes it a little easier.
When I had a comedy club in New York City, I would do the podcast in the comedy club, sometimes on the stage. It would be great. But now I'm outside of New York City. I do most of them on Zoom.
You're still over in that area though?
No, I'm outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
So I'm a Southerner now, as you could probably tell. So,
so yes, I try to do it in person as much as I can, and but I would be happy to come out there at some point. We just have to figure it out, or you come out to Vegas again.
Yeah, I'll definitely
do the podcast.
What are you gonna do when you're in Idaho though?
Homestead.
Yeah,
homeschool. Oh, you mean as far as the podcast?
Yeah.
No, I'll still do the podcast, and I've thought about that. Planning it and grouping it to where I come back to Vegas and have the people here and just knock them out, but potentially have some people there too. I just haven't gotten quite that far as like how that will work and how logistically if people would be willing to come to Boise, would they be interested in that, or is it easier to piggyback on something else that they might already be doing here, or just to bring them here? People just like to come here.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know what I mean?
It's not a hard stretch for people to say, oh yeah, I'll head over to Las Vegas at some point.
Exactly. Most people are just like, yeah, I'd love to. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. But either way, I'm, right now determined to keep it going because I love it. I love everything that I learn from every episode and guest that I have on. So, and for you today, this is fantastic. I love having these kind of thought-provoking intellectual conversations. They're honestly my favorite podcasts.
And me too. Thank you so much for having me on. And again, thanks for coming on to my show as well. So always a pleasure.
Yeah. Until next time. Thanks.
This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring,
You will die in 7 days.
Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
There's something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.